So this was a weekly pop quiz 2 related to the structure questions in this month. Any doubt? Question 1, part A and B. The term homogeneity of the equation means like it is having same unit both sides. The pressure at a depth h is there. G is the gravity. Use a base unit to check the. So we have pressure on the left hand side. We have density, gravity, and depth. What is pressure? The base unit. What is the pressure? Pressure is Pascal or Newton per meter square. But we have to check in the base unit. In terms of the base unit, because see, Pascal is Newton per meter square, okay? And Newton itself is kilogram meter per second square divided by meter square. When you simplify this, it will be kilogram meter raised to power -1 second raised to power -2. So means this is kilogram meter raised to power -1 second raised to power -2. What about density? Density is kilogram per meter cube. What about the gravity or acceleration? It's meter per second square. So I can write density as kg m raised to power -3. What about the acceleration due to gravity? Meter per second square. And what about the height? H. So when you simplify this, it will be kilogram. Meter is -3, 1 and 1. So what it will become? It will become -1 because -3 plus 1 plus 1 -1. And second is -2. So this equation is homogeneous. How it is homogeneous? Because we have the same units, base unit on the left and on the right hand side. Okay. So base units are the same on the left and the right. That's why this equation is a homogeneous equation. Question 2, any doubt in question 2? So you just have to use the base unit and say it is homogeneous. Speed of sound in air, you have studied about the speed of sound in IGCSE. It's about 330 meter per second. Density of air in the room. Look, to understand the concept of a density, you should know some standard. A best standard is what? Water. What is the density of a water? It's 1000 kilogram per meter cube or 1 grams per centimeter cube. So means air is less denser than water. So I can write any number but smaller than water. So what I can write, for example, I wrote 0.2 grams per centimeter cube. That will be correct. I wrote 0.3, 0.5, but it should be less than water. Mass of a protector. Mass of a protector is estimation. If you hold your protector, you find, like example, it is very light. So you can write 3 grams, 5 grams. 100 gram is actually the mass of the scale, the meter rule which we use, that is having a mass of the 100 gram, the 1 meter rule. The wooden meter rule which we use in our lab, that is having a mass of 100 gram. So protector is much lighter than that. So your value should not be like 100, 200. It should be less than that. So whenever estimation is there, some standard should be there in your mind and then you write accordingly. So the mass of a scale or a ruler which you use in the lab, a meter rule is 100 gram. A protector is much lighter. So you can say 5 grams, 10 grams, 3 grams. Volume in cm cube, head of the adult. If we consider our head as a sphere, what is the approximate radius of our head if we consider as a sphere? Approximate, you can use a scale to identify. Its estimation is there, but example 10 centimeter. 10 centimeters, 7, 8, it's up to you. So you consider 7. And what is the area of a sphere? 4 by 3 pi r cube. So you can just substitute 4 into 3.14 into 10 cube divided by 3. And you get your answer, approximate answer or estimated answer here. Because you estimated the radius of your head. And then with reference to that, you just said maximum, it can be 6 also. Some said 6, some said 7. That's also fine. So according to that, we estimate. Is it clear? So estimation question is, you should take something as a standard and then work out. Question 3, part A and B. Anyone having a doubt or a question? A, B. Question 3, part C, B. Okay. Use definition of acceleration. Your definition. Explain why stone is accelerating. Why this stone is accelerating? Because stone is changing the direction. When the direction changes, means there's a change in velocity. So the point you have to mention, stone changes the direction, which means the velocity changes, and that will cause acceleration. So change in direction means change in velocity, and change in velocity means the object is accelerating. Next is, a stone has a weight of 5 Newton. When a string makes an angle of 35 with a vertical, the tension is 6.1 Newton. Determine the resultant force acting on the stone in this position. So, how to determine the resultant force? There are two ways. You can use a vector diagram here. Okay. Either you use a vector diagram or either you use a calculation method, both will work. So if we use a vector diagram, as we did in the beginning of the sessions, like the start of the session, the vector, triangle, and the parallelogram method. So we select a scale. Example, I select 1 centimeter is 1 Newton. So 5 centimeter will be equals to 5 Newtons, and 6.1 Newton will be equals to 6.1 centimeter. What will be this angle? Between the two vectors. If I use, for example, I'm using a parallelogram method. I need the angle between the two. So what is this angle? 180 minus 35. So it is 155. 145, sorry, not 55, 45. Yeah, 145. So what I will do, I will draw one vector, then I will draw the second vector. I'm using a parallelogram. A triangle method is also possible. I will explain both methods. First, we draw first vector 6.1. Then we draw the second vector of length 5. So 6.1 and the 5 centimeter. Now, in a parallelogram method, we complete a parallelogram. We completed a parallel draw, like open the compass. Remember that. Open the compass 6.1 centimeter, place it on opposite side, draw an arc. Open the compass 5 centimeter, place on the opposite side, draw an arc. Join from tail of the first to the head of the last, that will be your resultant. And complete the diagram like it should make a parallelogram. This is a parallelogram method. Is it clear? And you have to measure the length of the resultant. That's a parallelogram method. You can also use a triangle method. How to use a triangle method? You draw first 6.1 at an angle of 35. Okay. Then the second vector, it's exactly vertical, so you don't have to measure the angle. Just draw a vertical line of 5 centimeter long accordingly. So draw a 5 centimeter line. Now, what about the resultant from tail of the first to the head of the last? When you join, that will be your resultant. This is a triangle method. Okay. There's also another method. You can also use a calculation method as well. Like first, you will work out the horizontal and the vertical component. Resultant force acting on the stone. How to know which force to draw first? You can draw any of the force first. It will not make difference. You can draw first. Example, first you do 5 Newton. Okay. Then you will draw at an, because the angle with the vertical is 35. So you will measure the angle with vertical 35 and draw 6.1. This angle should be 35. And from tail of the first to the head of the last, that will be the resultant. You can also use a calculation method as well. Like you resolve the force into the component and compare the horizontal and the vertical components. Like you just compare, this will be 6.1 cosine 35, and this will be 6.1 sine 35. So vertically, there will be no, like this will be equals to this, cancel out. So vertically, there is no component, only the 6.1 sine 35 will be the resultant force. So you can also use the calculation method, all will work. Direction of the resultant force. So according to the measuring the angle, in this case, it will be towards the left-hand side. Question 4, any doubt? Question 4, part A, any doubt? Magnitude of the force when you measure the length. The magnitude of the force is the length of the resultant according to the scale diagram. When you drew the scale diagram, you got the resultant. When you got the resultant, you will measure the length. Example, the value of your resultant is 6 centimeter. So the magnitude will be 6 newtons. You just have to convert the scale. Any doubt in 4A, 1 and 2? A part 2. The distance moved during the first 0.6 seconds. So what is the distance move? It's a non-linear graph. So for a non-linear graph, you can divide into equal segments. Because it's a non-linear graph. And the equal horizontal. It's up to you. Like example, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I draw it 10, here we have 10, so 5 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a non-linear graph, so we'll count like how many boxes we have. Yeah, you can also do the 10 boxes, that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And what we will do, we'll find the area of each box and multiply by the number of the boxes, we get the total area. And a speed time graph, the total area will give us the distance traveled by an object. Any other question or doubt from this? Resultant force F equals ma, and how the resultant force vary. It act in opposite direction. Like first it is causing an acceleration, move in the same direction. but the second one, acceleration is velocity is decreasing. So resultant force act in opposite direction of the motion. Any other question or doubt from this weekly pop quiz?